Hey folks, and welcome to Truck King. Today we have a battle of heavyweights. It's Toyota versus Honda, RAV4 versus CR-V, and these are both the hybrid models. So in this video, we'll show you all the features and then tell you which one is more efficient. First, let's take a look at this Honda CR-V. Now, the CR-V is fully redesigned for 2023. It has all new looks, and personally, I think it looks pretty sharp. Now, the model we have here today is the Touring Hybrid. Now, because it's the Touring, we also get some unique style and those nice 19-inch wheels. But just overall, what do you think of the CR-V's new looks? And over here we have the Toyota RAV4 Woodland Edition. Now, Woodland is also new for 2023, and it kind of builds off of the RAV4 Trail model. So you're getting things like the plastic cladding for the styling, that roof rack up there. You're getting a plug back there in the back of your RAV4, and a temporary use spare tire, which is kind of nice that they added that into the Woodland package. Now, the other big upgrade, 18-inch bronze alloy wheels wrapped with Falken Wild Peak all-terrain tires. So yes, when you go Woodland, you also get those AT tires here with the package. Now, the overall styling on RAV4 hasn't changed, so now I'll throw it back to you. Go in the comments and let me know which one of these two crossovers looks better. And first, we're going to try out this RAV4. So the first thing I like to talk about is the child seat situation. We have lower latch on both sides, and we have 1, 2. Oh, this is funny. You actually have to cut this out to get to your top tether in the middle position. I've never seen that before. So I guess if you never want to use it, you can leave it. If you want to use it, you actually have to come along with scissors and cut this out of here. But anyways, that means there are 3 top tether positions along this second row. So now I'll climb in. This is 37.8 inches of second row legroom, and it's plenty. I have enough knee room. My legs don't feel too tall. Lots of headroom. Even with the hump in front of me, I actually can still clear. That's kind of nice. Now for amenities back here, I don't have a ton, just a pair of USB-C ports down there in the center and a set of vents right there. But overall, size-wise, this back seat is plenty big for a more than full-sized adult. Now let's go see how the Honda is. And now the CR-V. Now for child seats, we also have 2 lower latch positions, but we only have 2 top tethers on either side, so you cannot install a forward-facing seat here in this center position, which means the Toyota offers a little bit more child seat flexibility. Now I'll climb in, and this is 41 inches of legroom, and it does feel like more legroom. I can really stretch out here. It feels like a little bit less headroom, although I still do have enough. So no problem, once again, for a full-size adult back here. Now, when it comes to amenities, almost the same. I have 2 USB-C ports down there in the center, a pair of vents, but the Honda does have one trick up its sleeve for the second row, and that is heated second row seats, which is kind of nice. So you know what? In the second rows, size-wise, they're really similar. Let's go see what the storage looks like. Let's crack the back of this Honda now. So this is 39.5 cubic feet, which on paper is just a little bit more than the Toyota. Now, one feature I'll show you right off the bat, this nice big rubberized floor mats. I already hauled 2 bags of sand home and it got really dirty, but look, you take that whole thing out, go clean it off, and you're good to go. So I do appreciate that. And besides that, I do have a 12-volt plug over here. Nice to have a bit of power. A couple of grocery bag hooks here too, and then 2 D-rings in the floor up there. The one thing I do not have is underfloor storage, and I point that out because in the standard CR-V, you do get that. So when you go for the hybrid, you do lose that underfloor storage. You also only get a spare tire fill kit here with your CR-V, so you don't actually get a real spare tire, and they hide that kit right over here under that plastic cover right there. So now let's go see how the Toyota compares. And now the RAV4, and yes, they both are powered hatches. So on paper, this is just 37.5 cubic feet, about 2 cubic feet less than what you have over there on the Honda, although you actually might have a couple more features here. So we also get this nice big rubberized floor mat, plus with that Woodland Edition badging. And I'll show you right away, this floor does lift up, and look at that, you're actually getting a real spare tire. So if that's a real priority for you, well then the Toyota is going to take it. Now we also get D-rings up front to tie down in, but over here kind of around this corner we have a 12-volt plug, and we actually have a 2-prong plug with 120 volts, 100 watts of power. So nice to have a little bit extra power at the back of the RAV4 too. And yes, it might feel a hair smaller than the Honda, but it's just not a huge difference, and this thing straight up just has more features at the back end. Let's take a look at the camera system here in the RAV4. So there's your view when you put it in reverse. You just get your rear. You can get a wide rear view using your button down there. And then over here you can change those dynamic guidelines. And that's about it. Not a whole ton of views here on this RAV4 Woodland. Let's see what the Honda has. Now we can see the camera views here in the Honda, so put it in reverse. And there's your first view, just the rear. You get a close-up rear, and then a straight down view, especially helpful if you're hitching up. That's your cross traffic alert button there. And then over here you can actually turn on those parking sensors at the same time as your cameras, so that when you're backing into something, look out, Dad. You can also see your parking sensors there at the same time. That's pretty nice. Alrighty folks, now here we are driving in this RAV4 Hybrid. And the first thing we do need to talk about is the discrepancy here, because no, this is not a perfect comparison trim to trim. Like I mentioned, if you want a hybrid CR-V here in Canada, you have to go to the top trim. There's no other option, whereas Toyota gives us a few more trim options to add the hybrid onto. So this Woodland Edition is based on an XLE all-wheel drive. It's essentially a mid-trim where the Honda is a top trim. So some of the features kind of show that off. For instance, the Honda has leather, the Toyota has cloth. The Honda has an upgraded Bose sound system, the Toyota doesn't. The Honda has wireless phone charging, the Toyota doesn't. So there's a few features that the CR-V has that this thing doesn't, but we have to overlook them because, like I said, the trims don't perfectly match up.
But then again, the Honda's more expensive.
Of course, so the Honda as it sits here is about $50,000 Canadian, whereas the Toyota here is $42,000. So there is an $8,000 difference, and that's really made up by all those features I mentioned, because the powertrains are the same regardless of trim, and then the other stuff we already talked about, rear seat size and cargo space, that's all the same regardless of trim. So really it's just those luxury features that add on that extra money. So one of the other big differences here that we have to talk about is the all-wheel drive systems, because they're not the same at all. Toyota, and this is something they've done across their lineup, they have a system where the electric motor is on your rear end, driving your rear axle, or not axle, but your rear axle shafts, and then the engine drives your front. There is no connection between front and rear here in the Toyota. The rear is strictly electric, whereas the Honda is still sort of the traditional all-wheel drive that actually has a drive shaft and sends its power back. So I think the advantage of the system on Toyota's case is that you're not driving that drive shaft. It's more efficient. You're not losing extra power, and therefore you're gonna have a little bit better fuel economy. Whereas the Honda system, you're gonna be wasting some of that power, but it's still a real physical link. The Toyota system, there's an ECU that's telling the system what to do from rear to front, and I'm not sure I totally trust it. So there's, it really depends on what you kind of like here. If you like the physical connection of the Honda, you might lean that way. If you're okay with Toyota's brain doing the all-wheel drive thinking for you, you might lean this way. But there's no doubt Toyota is focused on maximizing fuel economy, and that's why they did that. And with that in mind, well, what are the fuel economy numbers? Well, our comparison here today, they're actually the exact same. 37 miles per gallon combined for this RAV4 and for the CR-V, but there is a catch. That 37 mpg combined for the Toyota is specifically for this Woodland edition. And what's the big change here? The tires. These are all-terrain tires. That's gonna suck up easily 2 miles per gallon. And I actually went and pulled the rating for the standard RAV4 Hybrid, and it's at 40 miles per gallon combined. So the RAV4 is just straight up more efficient as well, and I would chalk it up, one of the main reasons being anyways, is that all-wheel drive system. And finally, let me just go over the drive modes and a little bit on how this thing drives. So here in the RAV4, we have Eco, we have Sport, Normal, we have Trail mode because this is an off-road model.
Soft road.
Yeah. And then what's interesting, Dad, is we do have an EV mode, which is supposed to drive us in full electric. Now, today, I have not actually got it to be able to go into EV mode. It just tells me it's unavailable. I'm assuming the battery has to be over a certain state of charge. And then even when it's there, I can't imagine it's going to stay in EV mode very long. But that is a difference. The Honda does not offer an EV mode, whereas the RAV4 does. So I'm assuming if you're going a short distance with the full battery and you want to save your gas, well, they are going to let you do it. And then the other thing I've noticed here, and this is something I've noticed about every RAV4 for almost 2 generations now, it's a little stiff. I feel like Toyota always takes the RAV and they think it needs to be a little more race car-ish than it should be. It comes across stiff to me. The handling is good. Like when I do this, it doesn't feel squishy, it doesn't feel soft, it actually responds good, but it's a family vehicle. It probably shouldn't be as stiff as it is. At least that's my opinion. And now I want to go get in the Honda and we'll see if it feels that much more comfortable. And now here we are in this Honda CR-V. And there's one big difference right off the bat that I want to mention. I was just talking about how that RAV4 is a little bit stiff. Well, the CR-V is the opposite. It's not roly-poly, but it rolls a bit, it squishes. And that's the way I think a vehicle in this segment should be, right? The words I come back to are easy and comfortable, and that's precisely what the Honda is. Now, no, it's not rewarding going around a corner, but again, in a mid-size crossover, who cares, right? That's where I come at it from. So for the drive experience, that I lean towards the Honda for sure.
Well, it's true. I mean, this is a family vehicle. You're a family man. I mean, in essence, your life is already over. So if you're looking for excitement, don't look for it here.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So one of the other differences is the RAV4, like I mentioned, has that EV mode. We don't have that here. We do have drive modes, though. I have a sport mode, a normal mode, economy mode, and a snow mode. But there's something else that the Honda does, which is that I have paddle shifters. Now, the paddles don't actually control the transmission, they control the regenerative braking. So I can lift off the throttle right now and it's just coasting like a normal car, and then I have 1, 2, 3 settings of regenerative braking that I can go through, and right now it's slowing us down fairly aggressively. Now, it's not a one pedal drive, it won't bring me to a total stop, but it actually gets fairly close. And then if I just begin to drive again, the little arrows down there go away, and now it's turned right back off. So this is...
so it doesn't stay where you put it.
It doesn't stay where you put it. No, now it's totally back off. You have to use it every single time you're coming into a corner or you're decelerating. Although let me also point out there is an extra setting here on my shifter. I can put it down into B. In B, it will stay on. In drive, it shuts back off automatically. And I just think, I always think that more choice is better. Why shouldn't I be given the choice of how to recoup my energy? And if I'm coming down a mountain, let's say, yeah, I want to be able to crank up that regenerative braking to both control my speed and to maximize my efficiency. So that's something the Honda has, the Toyota doesn't.
So I've been sitting over on the passenger seat in both of these vehicles, and I just have a general overview, really, of the Honda versus the Toyota. Over here in the Honda, a little more comfortable, a little more sporty, a little more design focused, a little more raked. Toyota is utilitarian. Toyota is practical. Toyota is all about business. It's boring in that Toyota way, which is not unlike a very useful tool that never lets you down, but you won't get excited about it. If you need a little something to crank your mojo, well then I think maybe the Honda's got it. And really, that's about it between the two of them. Otherwise, these things are very much in that exact same lane. They're little family vehicles, people pleasers. There'll be as many women, maybe even more, driving these as there will be men. And one of their key criteria is just straight up, make it easy for me, make it reliable. So there's your choice.
Yeah, and they both do it, and I do fully agree with you. The only thing I want to say is it's actually a bit strange to talk about Honda being the fashion-forward brand. And that's really something that they're trying to change. You can see it across their lineup. They've introduced a whole new design style, and they're trying to get rid of that boring image a little bit too. So, like I said, I would agree. The Honda is definitely the one that just, it's a little sexier than the RAV4. For sure.
Yeah, and to clarify, only in comparison to the Toyota.
Yeah. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this one, and these two are definitely extremely competitive, and they're both real close. But if I'm laying down my money, I think I'm going to take this Honda CR-V. I just like that it's a little more comfortable, a little easier to drive, and then you know, it looks a little bit nicer. What do you think?
No, I'm going in the other direction here because, first of all, we are talking about an $8,000 differential. I'll keep my $8,000. Because the Toyota ticks all the boxes and it works for me. The little nuanced stuff that you're talking about ain't worth that much extra money. For me, it's the RAV4.
All right, fair enough. Well, on this one, we're going to agree to disagree, which means we need you guys to be the tiebreaker. So go in the comments below and let us know which one of these two would you buy, CR-V or RAV4 Hybrid. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of the Truck King channel, and then come right back here to see what we're testing next. See ya.
Thanks.